everyone. Welcome to the Epic Vision Zone. My name is Jane Applegath, a former award-winning stockbroker, television producer, scriptwriter, yoga instructor, and serial entrepreneur, now founder of the Epic Vision Zone. I'm here to help you fulfill your big vision by empowering you to create something that will supercharge your messaging, money, and mastery. Because what you say and why you say it is the key to achieving epic success. That's why here at the Epic Vision Zone, we bring you the world's most influential people to inspire you to hit the go button on your epic life. A big thank you for being here today. Buddha wrote, "What you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. And what you imagine, you create." And today's guest will reveal just how powerful you truly are. Anna Scott is a transformational coach. She points people to who they are and shows them what gets in the way of their magnificence and genius. From entrepreneur to corporate executive to coaching entrepreneurs, Anna is passionate about personal development across topics ranging from somatics to the power of thought. Guiding Fortune 500 companies and emerging startups, Anna honed her skill set in the fields of leadership and somatics at the Strozzi Institute with complementary study in energy and philosophy. Inspired by Sydney Banks and others, Anna is a three-principle coach. Through her own journey of discovery, she developed an aspiration to coach executives, creatives, and entrepreneurs for one simple reason: to help kind and driven individuals discover how to tune into their energy and feel empowered to make change. Anna is also a contributing author in the book titled Stories from the Muses, Become a Better Writer. Unique as its title, this book introduces the reader to 7 muses, Anna being one of them, who lead you on a journey of self-discovery through writing. She holds a black belt in the Japanese martial arts of Aikido, which teaches defense without injury and promotes peaceful resolution to conflict. Welcome, Anna. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Oh my God. Jane, you do great research. It's beautiful to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, my pleasure. I am so excited to introduce Anna to everyone because we had an earlier conversation and I think we became soulmates. as close as that can become. We just hit it off. So let's dive in and let's everyone get to know this incredible lady. When did the light bulb go off for you in your journey to becoming a coach?
I think it was I was working for Institute where I was studying, and the teacher there said that he's supposed to be a coach, and I thought, but I want to be a coach, and he didn't think I could do it. And I don't know, I took the challenge on, and I wanted to do what he did, but what I saw what he was doing was loving people. Just being present with people. I didn't know that at the time. And I wanted to love people and be in love. So that was, God, years ago.
That was the light bulb. That is so intuitive that you saw that he was loving people. It wasn't just the coaching. That's so powerful. Well, energy, you have the first language of the universe. That's what you call it. In our earlier conversation, you said that the energy is of the universe. And so let's dive into that a little bit more because I completely agree. And that's something that I love to teach and coach, that energy is so important. And you call it the first language of the universe.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're all made of this aliveness, whatever this energy is that lives in everything, whether it be the sequoia trees or the oak tree, my dogs, plants, the earth, and that's in us and it's living us. And it's a gift because it's the aliveness that keeps us alive. And when we quiet our minds, we feel it. We feel the beauty of it. I feel the beauty of it. I don't know about anybody else, but I feel it. And it's just a beautiful feeling. And it has an
And
intelligence that if I listen to,
go ahead, sorry.
no, it's just that intelligence, the energy has information in it. And its information is coded for each person uniquely. What's coded in me is going to be different than what's coded in you. But if I learn how to listen, I can follow it and life becomes simpler and easier. And I get to feel it, and it's a better trip in this human form.
Wow, that's fascinating. I love the way you put it. It's an aliveness and it's all coded in a language that resonates with each individual. That is, I can imagine when you tap into that, how powerful it can feel, but also how exciting and amazing. I also always say the static is what gets in our way of listening and hearing that, because like you said, when you get to the quiet, you can feel it and then tap into it. So you say that we often sense we're meant for something more, but don't quite know what that is. Tell us about that, because I read that that's something that you felt as well. And I know that this resonates with so many people out there.
You know, the gift allows us to make a personality, an identity. Like I can be a role. I'm a mother, a person, I'm a wife, I'm a lover, whatever I am. But underneath that, all identities that I make is this aliveness that's eternal that came here to learn something or share a gift. When we fall out of that thinking in those roles, we feel what we're called to. And
Mm.
whatever it is, it's right. But we have so many concepts of what we think it should be that what's inside of us doesn't match so we dismiss it. But when you really feel it and let them go, you just have a different sense of life. Just to really dig, you
Yes.
just realize that you're connected to something and you're bigger than what you are.
And that aliveness is what we're sensing underneath all those layers. Like you said, you're in a job or you're being at home with your children. There's so many elements to our world, and yet somewhere underneath there, your true essence is trying to come to the surface, almost like a seed. It's trying to sprout.
Yeah, I think that people all have it, experience of it, whether they go on vacation or they're hiking in the woods or they're, just playing with their kids. They have a really a good feeling, and they would describe it how they would describe that experience would be different. I feel it. Other people wouldn't feel it, but they would know it. And we think it's the outside world, but we don't know that that's just energy and without our thought. That's who
Oh,
we are.
wow.
That's our nature.
That's really interesting. That's who we really are. Yeah, I never would have put it that way, but you're right. That gives a whole new perspective on when you experience that. That's the
Mhm.
aha, or you're tapping into. That's almost what you said. Like you said, it's a better trip. Your trip, you're tapping into your own trip, right?
That's exactly it.
It's true. I mean, if only we understood that, we wouldn't need drugs. I mean, we can all take a trip on our own. Me, myself, and I. Let's all go on a trip. Anyway, well,
Mhm.
well, okay. Let's run with that. Three principles of coach. You call yourself a three principle coach, which I find fascinating. I did a little digging myself because I was curious what that is. Tell us the three principles and what that's all about, because I'm right in there with
Mm.
you.
I I've been on a journey and I studied lots of things. And I was I was blessed to come across this understanding, and it's an understanding. And there's a man by the name of Sidney Band. You can look him up. The three principles, and he had an insight. He had a ninth grade education. He was aware, and the first insight that he had, he was at a like a 70s marriage counselor thing, and he was with his wife, and he said, to the therapist, I think I'm insecure. He said, the therapist, you're not insecure, you just think it. And when Sydney heard that, he heard the light, that our experience is only coming from our thoughts at any minute. Circumstances, we experience our thinking of it, and we feel it. Our thinking is this multidimensional. If I have sad thoughts, I'm going to feel sad. If I have happy thoughts, happy thoughts. If I have depressed thoughts, I'll feel depressed. And then he had a second insight, is that he went in through the light into the dark, and he saw where we come from. And he knew, he was a welder, and he knew he was going to teach people around the world. And across his understanding, and it saved my life. I had a husband who had dementia, was a profile who had night shades or whatever, night terrors. And I had 2 teenagers, and this understanding life, because I realized it wasn't my circumstances that I was experiencing, was me. And I realized when my thinking drops, is I'm connected to this aliveness, which is wisdom, which will guide me in the moment of what to do. It won't give me a 10-year plan. It might give me a vision, but I was starting to able to navigate this understanding, able to navigate how to raise 2 children, be in business, deal with a sick husband when I've never done any of it, and do it with some grace. Because I'm connected to this wisdom. It's got my back. And I don't always see it, and I forget, but when my thinking would quiet down, I could feel it. I could feel the wisdom giving me, call this person, do this. And it was wild what happened. And even when he passed away, I could see this intelligence working. It's not a tip or technique, it's an understanding of how human beings have their experience. And Sid saw that we're all perfectly fine underneath our thinking. The aliveness, the spiritual nature of who we are, is whole. It's good. It's love. It's light. Through all the spiritual texts, they all say the exact same thing. He just said it in such a simple way. And thought is the missing link. It takes less energy and to form as thought. And it changed my life. 20 years of trying to understand it, and I go, oh, I understand where I'm coming from. But I can't understand it all, because how do you understand this universal intelligence?
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's amazing that he had that moment when he was in therapy, and he said there's nothing wrong with you. It's your thoughts, it's your thinking. Because a lot of individuals wouldn't put that together the way he did. And like you went and studied, and he inspired you as well. And it does take an understanding. And it's interesting because if we're not willing to let that seep in, because I know a lot of people would be, well, what do you mean it's my thinking? That's crazy, like, but that's your thinking right there, right? You're thinking that that's crazy.
Right.
But if you put that barrier up, then there's no coming into to allow that and that other and the real intelligence to come through. Wow, that is powerful. So that might be quite a feat to have individuals, especially when you take on a coaching individual. Do you ever find that you have individuals who you have a lot of trouble, like, hello, you're not getting what I'm saying? Or do you just say, okay,
Well,
we'll come back in a year from now and visit?
I think the thing that's really interesting is everybody knows this because they are this. And you can point everybody to a moment where they remember that calm feeling. There's not a human being. It may be only for a second, but you can go far enough. Somebody will remember. Somebody will remember that feeling of love, whether it's for an animal or a plant or a human being. So the only thing I'm doing is helping people remember what's innate in them. They don't have to learn. The thing I loved about this coaching, this understanding, is I didn't have to go do anything. I have to get another black belt. I didn't have to go sit and meditate in a cave. I am this. I didn't have to learn anything because it's innate in me. It's already operating, and it works perfectly if I understand how to use it. I just didn't understand how to use it.
Right. And therein lies the key, getting people to understand how to use it, how to use your own software program.
Yeah, it's to let it truly and know when you're getting in the way of it. When I overthink and I get caught because I'm a human being, but to notice this in the feeling I get caught, I start to spin. It has a different feeling. It feels like popcorn,
Mm-hmm.
and it feels like a constricting, as opposed to like right now I have a very spacious, open feeling. I got nothing on my mind.
Wonderful. Yes. I certainly understand that, because when I write or I'm creating, I need that space. If I'm thinking, I mean, that's where the overwhelm comes, is because we're overthinking and we're not present with what we're doing. We're thinking about all the other things we need to be doing or should be doing. That's
Hmm.
creating the overwhelm. You know,
Yeah,
I
that's
love,
exactly it, Jane.
yeah, there's a saying that says, be in the step you're in. And so
Mm.
when yeah, be in the step you're in. And when I think of, when I understand that I'm overwhelming myself because I get caught as well, I just get, okay, bring it back together, Jane. Take a deep breath and just focus on what you're doing right now. And you know what? All that static goes away, because I'm saying, this is what I can do right now. And all that other stuff will have to happen when it happens, but it's not going to happen by me just sitting here thinking about it. It's just going to
Right.
overwhelm me. What, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Well, you also have in your you took up somatics, and how is that applied in your coaching? Give us a little insight into the somatics.
So somatics is an awareness of the body that below our this living, breathing thing that's always present. And in our body, we feel the energy. We feel our body. And what happens is this morning I did a thing. It's like a keyboard, like people have a piano. How many keys on it? 88, I think. We have all these emotions and we feel them, rise and fall naturally. But what happens is we've had a past experience where we couldn't be present with the energy and we made it into a thought. And there was an emotion and meaning we couldn't be with. And it gets stored in the body. So, for example, I was working with a man this weekend and he he couldn't be with disappointment. Like he's this
Mm.
genius of a creative, beautiful human being. Oh, but he'd get so disappointed if something didn't get built the way he wanted it. And he couldn't be with it because he had labeled disappointment bad. So he locked it down, he locked his energy down. But the minute you can be presence with it and know that it's just thought, the life mean, you can open up to the energy and feel it through the body and then it releases. But we just
Beautiful.
have to learn how to be presence to every emotion that we have, the sadness, the grief, the pain, and know that there's nothing wrong with it. But what happens is people feel something and then they think there's something wrong. So put more thought on it, and then they put more thought and more thought, and then the thing that they were feeling is hidden. So last night, buddy, and he was angry, and that got released, but then his sadness came up. And if I hadn't learned how to be just with sadness and pain, we would have gone into more thought. Because of presence in the body, you can just be with it and feel it, and it transforms automatically because that's the nature of energy. We lock
Mm.
it down in thought, not, but that's not the nature of energy. If we could just be with whatever is, Byron Katie, loving what is, she said it best.
Wow.
Whatever it is, and
But
it's
there's,
glorious because it all comes from love. It all
mhm.
originates from love. I just don't see it sometimes.
Yes. Yeah. Be with what is. That's really deep. You understand that, but if you were to say that to someone who doesn't have your understanding, your knowledge, they would, I could say that, for example, I have family members who are very linear is a best way to put it. And they would say, be what with what is. And they go, what the heck does that mean? You know what I mean? It's like, the majority of us, the population, we are in our thinking mode always. So you need, be with what is. They'll go, well, I'm being right here. What else is there? But you're not saying
Yeah.
that. You're saying be with what is almost inside of you. It's so much more. But yeah, that's really interesting that you say the layers and we put thought on top of the energy, and energy doesn't work that way. So what in essence we do is we're blocking it. Is that what we're doing with our thought? We're squishing it down?
Yeah, it's our best way. It's innocent. It's our best way to deal with these feelings, this energy that we don't know how to be with. If we don't know how to be with it, it's easier to go to thought to get out of it. That's a great tool because thought is designed to be out of the energy.
Hmm.
I mean, that's
Okay.
design. It's also a way to be receiver of the energy. It can be used one of two ways. It's the
Right.
receiver, but if we can't be with it, we'll just stay in thought. So when somebody's in a lot of pain, just blame somebody else, go outside, think it's their fault, when really it's just their own thinking of it.
Wow. The world could use that kind of knowledge right now, for sure. Oh my Lord.
Well,
So true. So the while we're talking about all of this, tell us why alignment matters when it comes to growth and transition. And I know you spoke a little bit of the alignment, but I often hear that if you're not in alignment, then it's very difficult to transition or to grow.
I think what happens is life wants us to be aligned and it gives us signals. It will get people sick. It'll start small. It will get somebody off a job. It will, end a company. And we have thinking about it. Like I'll tell a story, oh, that's wrong, that's bad, that shouldn't have happened, blah, blah, blah. But we don't see that this intelligence is moving us to where we listen. And once we start listening, you see that you're in a river of life and life is moving you somewhere. And it goes smoother when you listen. But we don't because I have stories of what I think it should, what's happening isn't matching my pictures. There was a
Mm.
guy I worked with and he hired me because his company went bankrupt. He was like, I don't know how many hundreds of $1,000s in debt and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, what if this is the best thing that ever happened to you? He called me and he said, you were right. It was the best thing. And he started something that has revolutionized the world with homeless housing, etc. And that thing was a precursor, but it wasn't it. It needed to end, but he didn't want to listen. So life needed to end it for him. So life will make us alignment, and we either will get sick or be in a lot of pain. We start listening to what life wants from us.
Right. And I guess when you're out of alignment, that's the pain. That's yeah.
Yep.
So it's the signal. It's the hammer on the head saying, wake up, right? for,
Yes,
for
that's
those who need
exactly
a
it.
for those who need a visual, because sometimes we need a lot of hammer hitting. Mind you, don't go out and do that. It's not a good idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is, because we have to get out of our own way is what we have to do. I mean, basically, we're in our own way. So that's really, yeah, you're right. Because sometimes the worst things that happen to us, I've heard that it's life is not happening to you; it's happening for you. But when you're in the midst of that catastrophe, that trauma, you're that you if you say that to someone who's in the midst of it, they'll just tell you to go fly a kite. Because you're like, don't tell me this is happening for me, because it really
Yeah.
is bad. But yes, once we understand it a little bit more and we come to a realization that it's the universe shaking us up, and unfortunately some people never do come to that, and I think that's where we get a lot of disease, which is dis-ease,
Yeah.
because they continue to fight something, and they're out of alignment, no doubt, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of other, elements that play into that, but certainly I know a lot of individuals who have these autoimmune diseases,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm convinced that those are diseases that are in their, they're not in alignment. They're out of alignment, basically. They're
Yeah.
definitely out of alignment. So one of your clients wrote that your coaching uncovered the secret to the game of life. I just love that. You may not know or remember that it's there, but it caught my eye because I thought the game of life. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that? Or can you tell us what
Well, no,
they might have meant?
well, if we think we're just this human body and the outside world, we have to arrange the outside world to be happy. It's a lot of struggling because the nature of life is it rises and falls, it's temporary. And there's a lot of suffering. And then things become precious and they become serious and they look like they really matter. But when you understand the nature of life and realize that you're connected to something larger, you relax with what happens. You, you realize that this is a short gig that we're in, and and yeah, it's wonderful to accomplish things if they're fun, but they don't mean anything about me. Whether I have a Pulitzer Prize book or not, I'm happy regardless. But boy, it sure
Mm,
is fun to write and see what happens and put something out and see what happens. See if I touch somebody. Like this call, you and I, this is wild because I did something for somebody. She interviewed, like, just, it's one. And we don't know who we're going to impact by this call, but boy, it sure is fun. But I know I'm not a better, worse person. And if nobody calls me, I'm still okay as a human being. So it just makes my life game of whatever great. It's just easier. I get to enjoy the hell out
yes.
of it. I get to fresh flowers, good food, great sex, be healthy. It's not complicated.
We make it complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
With our
innocent because
thoughts.
we don't understand. Yeah, we don't understand where our experience comes from. We think it's outside of us, but it's not. It's in the love, the light that we're looking for, the happiness. It's all right here. I got it.
Yeah. It's finding it. But that's interesting because yeah, the game of life. It was an interesting way to phrase it. Because when
Yeah.
you think of games, you think of winners and losers, and it was just an interesting way to. I Go ahead.
Oh, see, and I thought of it. It's a thing to play. Like when I think of a game, I'm thinking of something you play to have fun. Like you
You're
play
right.
game, like we play cards. And yeah, they're winners and losers, but it's to have fun and have some healthy competition. And my family's a big card players, and we just have fun. But we know
I
the
love
rules. We
that.
know what we need to do. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, you're right. Play. We forget, especially as adults, what play is all about. I mean, I often see adults with their children and I smile because they become a child again,
Mm.
making funny faces
Oh,
and picking up things that, didn't interest us before, but to a child it's all new. So you're like, look at the grass, look at the flowers, and and they light up, and it's just amazing because we need to do that more as adults, is remember how to play, because play
mhm.
connects us with our soul, I think. I mean, it really does. It makes us feel, like you said, we're all the love and light is inside of us, and it makes us feel alive. At least for me, when I play, I'll play with my kitty cat, or I love children. I just love to watch them. I love to watch them because I just go,
Mm.
look at them. They're so excited for nothing. They'll pick up a it's true. They'll pick up a stone and look at it and play with it, and taught, like, there was a beautiful post the other day, and this lady had along her garden, she had put clothes pegs with the names of her different vegetables and whatnot. And the little boy was just learning how to stand. So he's really young, but he could hold on to the board because she had them in a planter that stood off the ground. And so he'd hold on to that. And she said he spent over an hour playing with the clothes pegs, just opening and closing, because it was so fascinating to him. And the whole purpose of her post was that, it takes so little to fascinate us if we just take the time. We always
Oh,
have to make it bigger, when we're adults. But whatever it is, and see that I would find it fascinating too. I'd be like watching them. It was so cute. But yes, I love it. The game of life. Let's play. Let's play.
yeah.
So, stories from the muses and your podcast. Tell us about the book, and you also have a special series podcast with interviews. So, give us some idea of what this book is all about. I haven't read it or got it yet, but I'm definitely going to, because I can't wait to read. I love the word muses. When Anna and I first connected, she says, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "Well, I'm kind of like a muse." And she's like, "Oh my God." She says, "I've just written in a book called Stories from the Muses." So give us some insight into this book and this project.
So, boy, um, I'm kind of tongue-tied because I'm still surprised by it. Um, Jules Swales, who's the writing teacher, teaches method writing, and which is by Jack Grapes. And I started writing 2.5 years ago with, and what I found is it's a great way to have me see all my thinking, empty it, and then drop into spirit or wisdom and let something through me. And so it's just a great way for me to sit with myself, have nothing on my mind, what comes through. And the muses are that we have different energies that we all inhabit. It's the 88 keyboards, and there's the child, the Huntress, the Medusa, the mother, the witch hag crone. I forget other of them, but you feel into that energy and let them come through you, and it's like they're taking the pen and writing. It's creative genius. And if you talk to any musician or Martha Graham, who did the dance, so it just comes through you. And so this was a way for me to start playing with this intelligence. If I have nothing on my mind, can I test what's going to come to me? Can I see that something shows up? And when I let it go, something come through me that I have no idea about. Jules would say, I remember one of them I wrote about energy, and it's a bizarre piece of writing. And I remember she said, usually standing in the corner of our life looking, but the goal is to turn around and see the vastness of who we are and what we're possible at. And something came through me, and I was writing about, how I go out and kill for people and animals, and how it's a lineage, and like something I've never seen before. And it really, like how I could feel into the ripping out the, what do you even call it, like a bow and arrow, how I'd have to feel the arrow underneath the ribs and move it gently. And before, I mean, something so bizarre. And it just woke up a bigger part of me. And I think that's when we go into the muses, is we see we're not these little boxes. We're so much more than we have anything imagined when we open up to it. So that's the book. And I got honored. I'm thrilled. She had a bunch of writing students, and I brag that I got picked to be in that book. And I made it. So, and I got my first, I self-published a book, but this was somebody, when you had a dream or something, I always had a dream of wanting to be a writer and publish. And I can actually say that. So it feels real good. And I love what I wrote. I read it and I'm like, oh my God, they're good. They're not even me. I don't know where they came from, because that's the muses. It's parts of us that we have hidden away. And have you ever seen those things? It's like a blow up or a balloon, and all the corners start popping out of the balloon, that's what I feel like happened. It's like I just keep on, there's more and more parts of me that get blown out and bigger and wider that I get to inhabit.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. It's some people would say channeling, that it's like I've read
Mm.
some authors, they said that this book just it downloaded on me. Like I just had to keep writing and writing and writing. I had no idea. I think the woman who wrote Twilight, the first one, she said that she wrote it in a very short period of time, and it was like it came to her. It was, it was the universe, I guess, giving it to her. But she at least that was her story, that she just got this story and started writing and writing and writing, and that's what became Twilight eventually, the book. So yeah, it's really fascinating to be able to tap into that, and like you said, and then just put it down and have it written, and you look back on it and you can't believe that you wrote it. I've done that before. I'll go
Yeah.
back and read something I've written, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is really good. I can't believe I wrote it.
It's a
Yeah, some
great
people,
feeling.
it is. It is. It's like, I'm really proud of myself. We don't give ourselves the celebration that we deserve. But when we do, it's like people go, wow, you got quite the ego. And it's like, no, I'm pretty damn good. It feels good to feel good, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
ego, and then there's, celebrating some good work that you've done. But so that, thank you for sharing that. I'm so excited to read the book and delve into some of those stories from the muses for sure. What are you most excited about right now in your life?
Oh, wow. The peace and love that I feel inside of me. I've hit a new level um, of being able to see. I think what I saw last night was probably the most exciting. I saw that all human beings are human beings. There's no perfect or better. Even the most spiritual, enlightened people are human beings and they struggle and they get caught. But that's the beauty of being a human being. And if I can just learn how to be in my presence with people, I love watching them fall out of that and fall back into their light and knowing both are true and it's all perfect. I used to, I didn't realize how much I kind of idolized people or put people in pedestals or made them better. Like I didn't realize the judgment I was living in. And I feel like last night the tape got ripped off my eyes and I saw humanity, and it's beautiful. I just feel so different about it. And that excites me because I really see that there's a way that I can be of service to people now that in a way that I couldn't before. It's embarrassing to admit, but you know, you see it when you see it. But God, we're good. And God, we're human beings, and we're just all so messy. And we're so beautiful.
Yeah, we're beautiful in our messiness. There's actually a word that's been made up, flossom. I'm not sure if you're
Oh,
familiar with it. Flossom, it means we're awesome with all our flaws. So it's yeah,
yeah.
it's a word in the new dictionary now, but I love it because it does describe human beings. We're all flossom. We're all awesome in our flaws and all. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I could see that. Wow, what a huge opening that would be to see that. Yeah, definitely. But we are messy. We make it messy. You know, it's
But it's
it's
so beautiful. I'm beginning to see that I can look at people and see where they are and see that it's coming from a place of love and tenderness. And it's just so beautiful when I get to see it, like I get
right.
to experience it.
Yeah.
So it makes relationships way rather than being a jerk.
Yeah. Well, also too, you get to see people blossom. You get them to open up. Like you said, that one client on the weekend. I mean, you finally got to the part where you understood why he couldn't accept disappointment, because he had anger on top of that, and then he had, you know, I'm not sure if it was denial, but he had put so much on top of that that he couldn't. Anytime that he created something and it disappointed him or wasn't what he expected, he would feel bad. But now that he's released that, he can maybe accept things more willingly. So
Yeah.
that's really
Yeah.
powerful to open people up like that, and let them understand that, it's not, it is our humanness that makes us that way, because we are able to think, whereas animals aren't. It was very interesting, because when an animal goes into fight or flight, they go into fight or flight at that moment, when that either predator or something triggers them. But then once the atmosphere has calmed down and they realize that they're safe, they go back to grazing, or they go back to,
Mm.
or they go back to just being calm. But a human being, because we have the ability to think and imagine and create on a negative, we keep that with us the entire time. So even though the threat has gone, we are still in fight or flight. But that's because we have a thinking brain, whereas they
Yeah.
just experience it in the moment. So yeah, I find that fascinating. So it is a gift and it's a curse, but it's a gift when you really understand how we function, which is what you have done. You have completely taken the knowledge and the experiences, and you keep growing and expanding, and you understand now from a very deep level how we function. And when you get that, the light bulb is like, wow, we are playing in the game of life, but some of us are playing in the wrong game, right? I get it.
Mm.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah, we're just playing. I love what you said. The image of the fight or flight to grazing in the field is such a beautiful image. You feel like the
Yeah.
show don't tell.
Hmm.
That is just such a perfect way to show it.
Yeah, it's a good bit.
If we
I love
stayed in the
vision.
moment, if we stayed in the moment, we would see that we're pretty much always grazing, but we don't notice it.
Because of our thoughts. Yeah, because of our thoughts. Absolutely. Well, Anna, are there any last words that you would like to share with our audience?
I just want to let the audience know you are, I'm really honored. You are a magnificent soul, just
Oh,
so
thank you.
beautiful. And how you listened. I remember our conversation, listening and the creative, and the fierce advocate that you are for people to be their shiny star. Brilliant. It's just such an honor to be with you. I feel really blessed. And I also want
Oh,
to say, really seen, like you do great job of homework. So thank you.
my pleasure. And likewise. Oh my gosh. Yes. I know we will be lifelong friends. This will not be the end, because
Yeah.
Anna and I had a
I,
great, we took off and we started collaborating and musing with each other. I don't know what you call it, but we just hit it off. We were on a conversation and a roll, and it was like, who needs the interview? We're just keep chatting. Yeah,
it's an
right.
honor. Thank you. And I feel so blessed to share what I understand. So thank you for
Oh,
this opportunity. It really means.
well, thank you, because it is an honor to have you and understand what you understand and sharing that knowledge, because it is so vital that we understand how we function so that we can lead others on that same path. And that's what, we're all here to try and do. And we'll get there. It may take a long time, but we are getting there. And what I love is that the science
Yeah.
and the technology are now proving, because we all have to have that. The ancients knew all of this way before we ever did, but we didn't want to accept that because that was woo woo. But now, because of science and technology, we are beginning to accept all of this information, and it makes it even more powerful, because we do have that knowledge, and we can associate it with words that we understand, like software programs, and you're not in alignment, and et cetera, et cetera. And as crazy as that sounds, but our words do have impact. And so
Yeah.
if we can relate to words that people understand, then they will have a better understanding of what we're trying to tell them, or the knowledge that we're
Yeah.
trying to share. So, because we're here on the Epic Vision Zone, Anna, I have one last question. And that is, if your life were an epic story, what would the title be?
My beautiful life, my beautiful,
Mm,
simple life.
perfect. Absolutely perfect. Well, thank you again, Anna, for joining us here today. And be sure to check out Anna's website at annascott.co and her podcast, The Stories of Muses. You can also find her contact information and more on the Epic Vision Zone bio pages, so it'll all be there. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Jane Applegath. And don't forget that you can reach out to me at janeapplegath.com, where you can also grab your free download, The Keys to Your Dreams. Looking forward to hearing from you. This is the Epic Vision Zone, transforming your dreams into epic success.